this is the video on how to get stuff done and reach your goals. We will dive in. What are those tools? How could we live our life productive and really get stuff done with all we have going on in life? So hello, wherever you are in the world. And do you feel like you do a lot and nothing gets done? I do. While we're trying to meet the deadline and catch up with what's supposed to be done in a day, in the last month, in last year, the more we experience stress and overwhelm and in the present time of unfulfilled expectations or unfinished project from the past. And you probably here to get to the bottom of those things that you wish things were working. You probably wish things would manifest and would become your daily reality. And if you're here to find some answers on the productivity, this is the video. Despite the uncertainty, setting intentional plans is a powerful tool, perhaps this year more than ever, because we don't learn this every day. No one really taught us how to set plans and follow through with actions. The life happened, so we get distracted by other things, and then we catch up what's left. And I'm going to tell you how this video going to run down, how it's going to look like. I want this to be as interactive as possible. I don't want to teach you and tell you same old, same old. I want to share what's missing in your life, what will make a difference in your life, and what is lacking in order to live your life to fullest, despite the circumstances. So I invite you to be engaged with this video and watch all the way through the end. And please try to be coachable, meaning open to some questions, and let me lean in and challenge you while you're reflecting. And with that, I will invite you to reflect, to see where you lack in productivity, what's not working. Second part of the video, after looking to the challenges that maybe we are carrying into the next day, next month, I will share with you what could reclaim that vision that you have for yourself. Reflect and set the new vision that you're proud of and looking forward to making a reality. So what we will get out of this video is 5D tactics to deal with productivity. We will talk about priorities and commitments. We will discover the blind spot of those commitments, and you will leave this video inspired with a plan in place to get things done and be clear about your commitments. Try to place yourself right now. If this morning or this afternoon, this evening, whatever you're in the world and what time you're watching this. If this morning, this evening, this afternoon would be a turning point in your business, in your life, decision-making point, what stuff need to be done? And for those of you who might have a pen and paper right now, this is the time to reflect. Answer the simple question, what stuff need to be done? You don't have to be a list, just the main points. The second question would be, what is the blockage where you feel stuck with it? Allow yourself to be present with it and try to write it down. When you got off this video, then you will know for sure. What do you need to do? Because see, when we set intentions, we start looking for it. And when we look, we always find the value. So in the end of this video, I'm going to ask you if you got what you need, and find something maybe that you're willing to pursue and create in actions. Our biology is responsible for the unpleasantness that we feel in times of being not focused or not being distracted, only with the best intentions to protect us. So the idea of being anxious is absolutely normal. It's not accepted or it's not promoted or marketed, because anxiety makes us worry about the future, so then we start planning scenarios. And this is where it's become tricky, those scenarios, based on what we know best, stories from our past, blueprints of our childhood, family trait scenarios, which create an illusion of actually being the true. We make believe about ourselves like it's to be true. So we go and reach for the proof from our past stories, and we reach the result, receive the result. And often it's the same result over and over. It is very important to be aware of what stories are playing on the background. So when it comes to daily productivity, when you are planning to do things, when you are working on some projects, when things not get done, we get frustrated, we get overwhelmed. We find the proof that, see, I told you so. There's not enough hours in the day. There's so much time I was spending. There's so much work to do. One of the strategy on productivity for me was to get things done is a very simple tactic. The simple method of 5D tactic comes to 5 folders. I created 5 folders on my desk for my productivity. You can create 5 folders for your life on that. Folder number 1, do something with that. We always have priorities. When we wake up in the morning, when we're dealing with things, there's an important piece of it in the day. There's a plan, there's a goal, there's interaction, there's responsibility. If you're a parent, if you are business owners or self-employed, there's something that you must tackle right away. And the folder number 1 is your priority. My suggestion, do it as early as possible in the day. If you're an early riser, this is something that could be done by 9 a.m. And if you working and you know this is a burning project on your desk, try to make it as early as possible, at least until 10 a.m. or 11. And that would give you an opportunity to stay productive, less overwhelmed by what's need to be done and something that wasn't complete through the day. Then you can move on to the next projects with a fresh mind, even if it's a conversation, confronting conversation, email that's supposed to be followed up long time ago, or the deadline that has to be met. And could be your action step. Folder number 2, differentiate it. It is really important to be clear of what are you working on? What is really blocking all those important tasks on your calendar, creating categories, being clear where all these piles are coming from. So differentiate by category, by topic. What are your roles? What are your commitments? That will give you some room to know what are priorities and what are you working on. Folder number 3, for me, it was a delegation. When I was at the position of the director of operations, I was having lots of tasks. Then later, I realized half of them were not my department, even skill set or responsibility, but those piles are growing we take as our own unaccomplished, unfinished project. So delegation is a key. You would create so much space, so much room for important things once you delegate that. It could be assistant, it could be application on your phone, something that could track that, and you will start recognizing what's get on your to-do list, something maybe not belonging to you as either. So try to be a manager of your life, manage your life, be a leader, delegate it. Dump it. The folder number 4 is something that we acquire as important that become simply garbage. Look at the email box. How much stuff they are blocking our important emails, letters, responses, advertisement, pitches, sales tactics, all of those PDFs that you promise yourself to read one day. Those are the things that are absolute clutter. Feel free to create a folder if those things you think you will go back to. Create the folder, look later from there. But dump the things like magazines, things that are like simply create a mess on the table, lack the productivity in the day. Dump it, recycle it, create a way of remove this so you can see clearly what are you actually doing through the day? What are you working on? And the last would be the folder, don't know what to do with that. There's so many things in project that we are at some point thought it's a great idea, and it could be, but not at this moment. Once it's piling up, we feel like it's so far. I have so much work to do until 2025. But some of those projects maybe are not in priority right now. Could be long-term goal. Next year, it could be a conference that you always wanting to go, and you simply don't know what to do with that. But it's mixed with important stuff, and we create this procrastination knowing that it has to be followed through right now. But once you differentiate it, folder number 2, this is something that does not belong at this next 6 months. And that's one of the simplest strategies for you to start working on. Best strategy to identify your priority is to question that productivity in the day. When it comes to priorities and something that is vital and important in your life, even in this moment, feels like seems not. When we distracted through the day or with a particular people, think of that situation when just recently you noticed that you got off the track, or perhaps you got distracted by something was maybe frustrating, or you felt in that moment that there's so much to do and I don't even know where to begin. And imagine that remote control. Just try to press pause in that moment. Think of the last situation where you feel distracted, almost frustrated, not focused, feeling stuck. Press pause and let's look closer in that situation. And if you need to take a literally press pause on this video, please do, and try to bring that memory so we can work with that. All right, so think of a last situation where you feel distracted, almost frustrated, stuck, not focused, and start drafting the answers. How long ago you experienced that? Next question, where were you? Home, work, on the street, in the online virtual world, outside, being with someone? Who is with you? When you're imagining that, who is with you? Were you alone? Was someone next to you? And what do you do in that moment? What are your expectations in that moment? And what are you actually doing in that moment? So what do you do? What were your expectations? And what were you actually doing? What do you really need to do in that moment? And if what do you really need to do in that moment, you're clear on that answer, if you would be really doing what you need to do, what impact you create for yourself and for others by completing that. And now creating that impact for yourself and for others. What possibilities could come out of that? What opportunities could be there for you and someone who is engaged with you? You hit it with a team, or it's important possibility of changing someone else's life or impacting someone else's day, or you as a possibility being there for people. What possibilities you created for yourself and for others. Great job, everyone. And I'm glad you're taking on this task, because this is a first step to identify where we are with our productivity. The opposite of distraction, once we think, if we're distracted, I must find the concentration. Nope, just not that answer yet. It's simply the presence. Something maybe you didn't expect to hear, but once we in the moment present, there is no need for concentration. We simply stay naturally focused. Instead of imagining a scary or unknown future, we can bring our attention to breathe. When we stay unfocused and slightly frustrated and disorganized and often disoriented, if we can bring our attention to our breath, from there, we can check in with ourselves. Every time, maybe when we wash our hands, for example, we can ask ourselves, or brushing our teeth, ask yourself, how are you doing right now? Even when it feels those moments when things are everything is out of our control, we can still control what we're paying attention to. Once we drop our fixation on a problem, we can focus on our outcomes we desire. How can we make the best out of this uncontrollable mess? What could we gain out of this situation? And those are the questions that could shift that anxiety into something very empowering. When we take responsibilities for our life, we trade the false power of victimhood. Why does this happen to me? What is going on? Who are these people? Why I must be doing all of that? This is not enough. This is too much. We trade the false power of victimhood for the real power that comes from creating the life we want. So now I want to go back to that question and reevaluate where you're at. What is the possibility for you once you shift from being distracted and stuck? What would you do? How your life could be transformed? And now, what have you always wanted to do? What outcomes are you hoping for? And the $1 million question, how can you make this real? So whatever you wrote it down, whatever show up for you is a possibility. I'm 100% sure it's doable. And there is a structure to it and accountability. That's it. But that's important. You have to have a belief that state of focus and concentration is possible for you, because there is the only one thing you can create for yourself. That's internal belief. This is the first step of recognizing things. And if you're still writing and answering those questions for yourself, please continue do. But this is a start. Once we recognize, once we start making micro steps, the productivity comes naturally with more questions. What would you like me to do with that? And now, what is your choice? Are you willing to pursue on that? Or this is something that could wait? This is not a priority. Now you start managing the time. Where your time goes. What are you spending your time on? Who's taking your time? Where the time goes? Now you're a time manager. And then you start aligning this with yourself. How am I a possibility when I'm stressed and overwhelmed? Who am I serving in this moment when I'm absolutely frustrated and I don't recall when last time I made it on time for dinner? Not that this is the lifestyle, but when it comes to your routine, whatever your routine is maybe you eat your dinner later, or maybe you work out at 5 a.m. You don't have to do this later. But how are you following through on that? Those are the indicators of your habit, how consistent your life is, and how much you can manage through the day or not, or things that are just popping from all over. And when the alarm rang, the life started for you, and in forms of notifications, emails, asks, commitments, and responsibilities. And now the last, commitments. We are so clear what we committed to. We're committed to be a great father. We are committed to be a great parent. We are committed to be an excellent coworker. We're committed not to fail. We're committed to be a decent human being. We're committed to be a supportive friend and loving partner. Those are big commitments. We're committed to succeed in life. We're committed to show up. We're committed to be safe. We're committed to be healthy. But we're also committed not to fail. But we also committed be honest. We also committed stop doing things that we don't like to do. We also committed avoid confrontations. We're also committed not to create more stress in our life, in your particular life. We are committed we're committed to a lot of not, and we committed to a lot of yeses. Even from what I just saying, that's a lot of commitments in a day. When we wake up, we don't think, well, today I want to make sure I'm not committed to fail. We go in trying to do something productive, having on the back of our mind another commitment. And back to what I said, the opposite, the concentration would be the present. Presence is something that you, in the alignment of what your commitment is once you wake up in the morning. Not to committed, avoid something, committed to show up and be present. In integrity with yourself, being authentic. What do you really want? And where are you not showing up? Just admit that. That's the start. That's the beginning. So look back to your answers, see where you're at. And that's just simple one example that you reflect on today, and notice how often this is present in your life, how often you play this similar behavior in other areas of your life. And where is that self-belief in that moment? How present are you? And what are you committed to do? And what's possibility come out of that? I wish you a productive day. Thanks for watching.